All right, so when we're looking at running shoes,
Yep.
there's lots of different types of running shoes.
For sure.
Can you just go through maybe what the different types of shoes are and
Yeah.
where, like, for who they're better
Definitely.
off and like what situations you're better off picking them?
Yeah, for sure. So if you look at the way we structure the wall, it's not by brand or price, it's actually by structure and function. So least amount of structure, bottom left, and most amount of structure in a shoe is top right. So we have what we classify as stable neutral down this end of the wall, and then we come mild to moderate structure and some rocker mechanism type shoes, and then most amount of medial structure. Okay. So what I was talking about before is what we look for in a shoe is, I suppose, what's too little, what's too much, what's just right.
Yeah.
And we'll always start off with potentially in the middle around stable neutral,
Okay.
to then maybe what's too little, depending on the person's foot function.
Yeah.
And then based off of what we see on the camera and the treadmill, if we need to up the structure and function a little bit, we'll just gradually come up here, because for us it's all about progressive adaptation.
Okay.
So we don't want to take people from one extreme to the other.
Yeah.
So there's the way shoe companies traditionally have put structure in a lot of shoes is they use a firmer medial post. So medial being the inside.
Yep.
And this is a firmer density of material, and you can actually see it cut away through here. Now, that being harder than the rest of the shoe, when someone pronates and then over pronates and rolls in too far, then they have that internal rotation, the tibia and fibia.
Okay.
Then this particular part of the shoe doesn't necessarily compress and collapse under force as much as the rest.
Yeah.
So
their foot kind of stays
level
as they go through that motion, right?
That's right. Yeah, it just resists that compression.
Yeah.
And as a result, just tries to guide a little bit of shock and force back this way.
Yep.
Now, that's a traditional way of doing it. The problem with this is that, say, as I was talking about before, one person has one foot going through one range of motion, one foot going through the other, and say one foot isn't pronating as much as the other. So if you put someone in a medially posted shoe, but one of their feet isn't putting enough force through the shoe, the body's going to take the path of least resistance, and it's going to laterally compress out that way, which can cause a whole host of other issues. So we definitely need to be careful in terms of putting people in the right type of shoe and the type of structure we build into shoes. But that's one way, or one traditional type of structure. Moving forward, there's been a few other updates in terms of shoes where they've been putting structure in shoes, but now using geometry as opposed to using that harder material. So it's almost like your foot goes onto a little bit of a ramp, and as a result of that, doesn't hit that hard wedging or block. So it actually feels more comfortable underneath the foot, and still helps to sort of pull back a little bit of that over pronation if someone sort of goes through that range of motion, or needs a little bit of extra support underneath their medial arch. But 9 times out of 10, we definitely start with stable neutral. There are so many stable neutral shoes on the market which function really good these days, which is great for us. One of these shoes is actually, this shoe from Asics is called the Pursue. Now, this particular stable neutral shoe is probably one of the most, I suppose, it's comfortable and it's cushioned, but it's the most structured stable neutral shoes on the marketplace. It actually has this big midfoot trussic through there. So as a result,
it really doesn't move.
It's got a lot of structure. So someone who mildly overpronates or rolls in a little bit more can still actually get a bit of structure, but in a stable neutral shoe. So this is, I suppose, on the higher scale of structure in a stable neutral shoe. And then down from that, you've got shoes like the 880 from New Balance, which is a great workhorse type shoe. But if you look, this particular one uses a geometry, whereby on the medial side, there's a fraction more shoe, and on the lateral side, there's not as much. So it's a very mild ramp, and as a result, this actually helps to balance out a lot of people's sort of left and right foot imbalances, and still in a stable neutral platform, which is really, really comfortable. But that doesn't have that midfoot structural bar through there. So there are so many different options now, it's not funny. Then you've got this shoe from Nike called the Invincible, and this is probably one of the, for me personally, I use this as just a long run recovery shoe. So I don't use this for all of my running, but I find it so responsive and so light and so cushioned, but for some people it's just not right, because you tried it on and you didn't like it.
No,
so
it just felt, I don't know, it felt too cushioned.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's where everything is different for every single person, and not one shoe is going to be right. So stable, neutral, mild structure, moderate structure, we don't know. It all depends on the person that comes in, the mechanics that we see on the treadmill, and then how we can help adapt the shoe to be the right fit and help them stay injury free.
Yeah, exactly. There's so much technology now with how different shoes are made. That it is definitely worth trying different shoes on and seeing what the right fit for you is.
So our process would ordinarily take anywhere from, our bookings are 45 minutes.
Okay.
So we get people to book online, we can allot a heap of time. That's almost a minimum for us. Sometimes we take up to an hour plus to fit someone up, because when you're trying X amount of shoes on, we'll exhaust every option we have to get the shoe right. It's that simple, and we don't cut corners. It's just about every single person gets the right amount of time.
Yeah. Awesome.
In terms of that technology, there's heaps going on at the moment. There's things like the Endorphin Speed and Pro, which have carbon and nylon plates in them now.
Right shoes.
Yeah. So Nike started off with the sub 2 hour marathon project. Now every company has a carbon plated shoe in there. Ultra light, ultra cushioned, stiff and firm in the forefoot for energy return and propulsion. So that's Saucony's one. And then you've got the Alpha Fly, which Eliud Kipchoge wore for the sub 2 hour. So these are crazy, amazing shoes that take a lot of impact and force out, but give a lot of propulsion as well. And have definitely caused a lot of controversy in the running world of late.
Will those shoes make me run faster?
There's a fair chance, yes. Definitely. I can't guarantee how much faster, but they definitely help. There is a significant advantage of wearing something like this over wearing obviously a heavier, stable, neutral cushion shoe, because of the propulsive mechanism here, and also the load it takes off of you.
So light.
Yeah, so when I did a 10K run, the run leg and the triathlon,
there's nothing to it.
Yeah, the cushioning takes a lot of load off, so you actually don't feel as beaten up. So your recovery time is quicker. But then the propulsive mechanism with the carbon plate and then the zoom bags and the forefoot definitely helps propel you forward too. So weight-wise, ridiculous, amazing. So light, so cushioned, so propulsive. This is what they're wearing now. And so it's even got on the back of the shoe, 1:59.40 was the time that Eliud came through under the 2 hour barrier. So Nike have been working towards this for quite some time with the Vaporfly and now this, and it's good. Like every other brand has got one of those types of shoes now, and that way it's almost somewhat of a level playing field because everyone has the opportunity for that. So
cool.
there's tons of technology.
Perfect.